So our second region is the Midwest. The Midwest is a geographically very large region. It starts in Michigan and goes west to North Dakota, then it goes down to Kansas and goes back around to Ohio and all the states in between.
Okay, so the plus points are that it's a relatively low-cost region in terms of fuel. We looked at some housing, and just general day-to-day stuff seems to be good value. Another nice thing is that generally American service culture is very good. I think the epicenter of this is the Midwest. If you're in a restaurant or if you're just browsing a shop, the people here are just more helpful and seem to be more interested in their jobs. So I think that's really good. Another thing is just looking at the infrastructure. I think despite the harsh weather conditions, the roads are well maintained, the buildings look clean. There isn't graffiti or anything like that around here. There probably isn't inner cities and things, but generally the place looks good. I think the good service culture is an extension of the people here generally being very friendly. It's not put on. They are that nice. It's very easy to talk to people here. We started off in the Midwest and we got a really good start because we went through Minnesota and then into South Dakota, which I think is the start of the West. But now, the downside is the weather. We haven't seen it on these videos, but the weather in the winter gets down to -40, which is the same in centigrade and Fahrenheit. That's harsh.
It also gets very warm in the summer and very humid. So even though people think of this as being a cold region, it gets the extremes. It will get to, in centigrade, 40 and -40. So it's a sweaty place in the summer and a very cold, dry place in the winter. And we aren't big fans of that.
Our favourite place in the Midwest was Columbus. Now, someone from Columbus has been telling us about the downsides of Columbus since then, but what we saw looked good. I think the second best place was probably Omaha.
Yes, Omaha seemed like it was a very well-run city. People were extremely friendly there. They also had a really impressive zoo, which isn't something we're going to move for, but we recommend visiting Omaha for their zoo. It's a really good zoo.
So a couple of other places that stood out were Tonganoxie. We went to Tonganoxie, got a picture of General Lee's house given to us, and yeah, I like Tonganoxie. It's probably a bit small for, because I'm looking in the IT sector, but yeah, I think if we go through Kansas, I think we should visit Tonganoxie again.
No, they were lovely people. I think we met half the town, and they were great. So Kansas in general is a very underrated state, and there are much worse places you can live than Kansas. Kansas has lovely people, and it's very affordable. And I think for me, as someone who grew up in Wisconsin and Minnesota, I think this trip has put them into perspective, in that even though I still think that the weather is really, really crap for about half the year, it is better run than a lot of places. So I think Minnesota and Wisconsin, if you can live with the weather, are very nice places to live. They're very well run, and you could do a lot worse. Also, something that I've realised that I don't think I knew growing up is I think that they're more politically moderate than I realised. Going through the South and the Bible Belt, this isn't that. So you can't say that the whole middle of the country is just full of cowboys and Baptists, and no. This is a different place than that. So you can say what you want, but if you haven't been here, it's not that. I think it's actually probably a halfway point. If you put all of the American opinions together, this would be the average. So yes. Take that for what it's worth. I'm sure people will disagree with that, but go for it.
Another thing that was nice was, so North Dakota struck oil, so they've got that. South Dakota doesn't actually have anything particularly going for it. I'm not meaning this as an insult, because they've managed to get this piece of land and turn it into a holiday destination. So I don't think it's got lots of natural resources, but they've marketed it as this gateway to the West. So if you drive through South Dakota, even on the interstate, you can see interesting things. Like we went to that sculpture park, which was just bonkers, but fascinating.